Hello everybody and welcome back to our YouTube channel. We are as always your hosts Arne and Carlos, and today we are going to revisit the Norwegian knit.
Oh yes.
And Carlos is doing it.
So it's going to be a little bit different this time, and let's cross our fingers this goes well.
Yeah. But first we have to mention something very important. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you like the video, put your thumb up. If you don't like it, put your thumb down and put on your notification.
Why?
Because then you get like a pling on your phone or something, and then the phone or the computer tell you that there's a new video out.
Exactly, so that you never miss an episode. Okay, cool. Formalities are now done. So let's start talking about why we're doing this.
Yeah, because when I knit, I tend to knit too fast. And now when we've been touring in America for 78 days, we've been teaching people how to knit and purl the Norwegian way.
Yes.
And a lot of people say that when Carlos do it, they understand it better because I guess you do it slower, or
Probably slower.
He has another way of showing it.
We have different ways of teaching it, and so we realized that why not try it again using my way of doing it. Yeah. And you know, now that we're on that subject, we can also explain to you that when we started our YouTube channel about 5 years ago, we decided that only one of us would be doing the tutorials. So if we're doing a cooking tutorial, usually I'm doing it. And when we've done all the knitting and the crochet and everything else, Arne has been doing it. And I have then taken the role of a journalist, kind of interviewing Arne and asking him questions and trying to move the episode forward. So that's how we wanted to do it, and that's how we've always wanted to do it. But now we're gonna change the roles. I'm gonna be the instructor, at least for a couple of episodes, not all. And Arne, you are gonna do what?
I'm gonna ask you what you're doing.
Okay.
You want to start?
Yes,
okay,
I want to
Carlos,
start.
So what do you do? How do you knit the Norwegian way?
Okay, so
can you explain me like I had never done it before?
I will explain it to you, okay, and I will also maybe help you a little bit with the ergonomic aspects. Okay. Now, if you are Norwegian or Danish and already know how to knit the Norwegian way, then you can just kick back and relax. So this episode is aimed at new beginners, people who have never done it before. So we need to start with some basic gripping techniques, because you need to learn how to hold your knit properly in order to be able to achieve the Norwegian way of knitting. Okay? So the first thing that you want to do is you want to grab your knitting, and you want to grab it with your left hand, and you want to grab it and put it in your hand in the most comfortable way possible. And so I just take it and I just put it in my hand, pretty much like this.
And now now a lot of people will ask, how do you tension the yarn when you start knitting? So how do you do that?
Well, we don't actually think too much of tensioning, because in Norwegian knitting, the tension is more on the needle. The goal of Norwegian knitting is to have a short distance between the needle, the yarn and the finger. You want to keep everything close together so that you don't need to move to, make big movements to pick up the yarn and do your knitting. So it's another point of view, another principle. And also, you don't want to hold the knitting in a very tight way. You need to relax your muscles. Remember, you're not hanging from the edge of a balcony, and if you let go, you're gonna fall and die. You're holding on to your knitting, and you should do it in a comfortable way.
And you don't have to point at the stars.
Exactly.
Or so anyway, point at people, because that's not nice.
No, that's not nice. No. So let's go back to the gripping. Just grab the knitting, put it comfortably in your hand like this, and relax your muscles. That's the first step. Second step, when you have it in your hand like this, you want to pinch the right needle with your left index finger and thumb like this. So you're just moving, you start here, and then you just take your index finger and your thumb and you pinch the right needle. What happens is the thread, it comes here on the right side. So you just pick up the thread like this, and you put it over the finger like this. So you're pinching the needle, the right needle, with your left index finger and your thumb, and the yarn goes over the finger like that. Now what you want to do is you want to anchor that yarn, and you do that by taking your middle finger and putting it down like this. So you're kind of anchoring it and sort of holding it in place like this.
And that's the hard part for a lot of people.
Yes, that's the hard part for a lot of beginners, because they will feel they have no control. A lot of people, when they do this, automatically what they will want to do is they will want to wrap the yarn over that finger. Now, don't do this, because at the moment you do this, you're going to strain the muscle here and you're going to strain the muscle here. And then the way to tendinitis is very, very short. So don't do that. Just remember, pick up the yarn or the needles with your finger, pinch the right needle with your index finger and your thumb, take the yarn, put it over your index finger, anchor it with your middle finger like this. Don't hold it hard, just keep it anchored. You can either keep the yarn in your hand like this, or you can also just do this. The point is, you're not really holding to this and you're not tensioning here, you're just anchoring.
And that's like if you do the wrapping, a lot of people, they wrap like this, and you can't do many stitches until you have to do this again. But how do you fix your tension? Well, say you start knitting now and suddenly you have to adjust the tension.
So I usually say, I have a couple of mantras that I do, and I tell people. The first mantra is that you need to keep your finger down when you're knitting. Remember, you're pinching the needle and the yarn is over the thread. Finger down. The moment this starts to become loose, people tend to want to lift the finger like that. Now, as they say in airplanes, in case of an emergency, pull the cord, right? And then help yourself first before you can help other people. So I'm going to say the same thing. The yarn is over the finger. In case of an emergency, if you see your finger rising, pull the cord. Pull the cord and your finger is back down. But that is how I adjust the tension.
But when you get used to this, your finger won't get up anymore.
Exactly.
Because when you get used to holding it down, it's the way
it should be.
Yeah.
So, now that we have talked a little bit about holding and a little bit about tensioning, I am going to start knitting. So, as I said, I pick up my needle, pinch the right needle with my left index finger and thumb, put the yarn over, anchor with my middle finger, and I can start knitting. This is kind of like resting position here. And when I knit, I move my thumb over to the left needle and I can start knitting very easily. So what I want to do when I knit the Norwegian way is want to have that quite short distance between the needles, the yarn and the finger. And as you can see here now, the needles are kind of pointing towards each other like a little triangle. I've got my index finger resting on the needle and my yarn is over there. So all I need to do now is I need to take the stitch, pull it and just knit like that.
So easy.
So let's do it a couple.
And you pull the string.
Yes, well.
Without thinking about it.
Well,
because it goes by itself.
I did, but this is just a demonstration. So let's do it again.
Yeah.
Okay. So go to the, pick up the stitch, pull it, go under and release.
So that's easy. So what can we say about this?
It's super easy.
It's super easy.
Remember, you want to relax your hands. You want to make sure that that finger is down all the time. If the finger is not down, you're not knitting the Norwegian way. Norwegian people, they keep their fingers down. Remember, if you feel the urge and your finger starts rising, pull the cord. In case of an emergency, always pull the cord. And that way your finger will stay down.
Yeah.
So let me do a couple of knits so you can see. I'm not doing it as fast as Arne because I feel that...
no, but this time it's your way.
Yeah, and I am a slower knitter than you are.
But
so.
We have the same tension. So if you knit on something, I can easily knit on the same piece and you can't see the difference. So it's also hard to tell who of us made. Like if we knit a Christmas ball, you can't tell which ball you made and which ball I made because we have the same tension.
Similar tension, yeah. That's correct. Now, about tensioning, a lot of people will find it a little bit surprising when we say that we're not actually holding it in a particular way to get the tension. It's the fact that we are pulling the stitches towards the needle, and then as we slide them here, that's when we get the tension, right?
The tension is in the needle.
The tension is in the needle. It is a very different way to think, and it takes a little bit getting used to.
But that's why you have different needle sizes.
Correct.
Because the tension is in the needle. If not, you can use any needle.
And we have a saying, it's actually easier to change the tool than to change yourself. When you read a pattern, you should always do a gauge swatch. And remember that what is written in the pattern is not set in stone, it's only a guideline. If your tension is too tight when you do a gauge swatch, it's actually easier to change the needle than to change yourself. If it's too tight, go up a size in needle. If it's too loose, go down a size. Make your little gauge swatch and see what needle you need. And take that as a guideline. It's very, very important that you're comfortable when you're knitting. And the Norwegian way of knitting, because you're not actually tensioning the yarn in the way you're holding it, it means that you do really need to be a little bit more loose on whatever the pattern says. You know, you don't take it too hard, take it lightly and figure it out as you go. So I'm gonna do my recap, okay?
Yeah.
So take the stitch, pull it towards you and release.
So the conclusion when you knit Norwegian style is that you just pull the stitch, the needle into the stitch and you grab the yarn. It's like making new loops over and over, and there's no fancy way of twisting the yarn around fingers, or you don't have to move your fingers up in the air to catch the yarn. It's all more relaxing.
Yeah, and it's not rocket science.
And it's also said that this style of knitting is also called ergonomic knitting because it's more relaxing. Okay?
Yeah.
So watch Carlos and learn.
So I think we got it, don't we?
We got it.
Yeah. So this is going to be the last on the Norwegian knitting. Next time we're going to talk about the Norwegian purling, which is a little bit more complicated, or not complicated, I wouldn't say that. It is actually very easy to learn. It's a little bit more of a movement thing. You just need to get the rhythm. But we'll talk about that one next time. Until then, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I am not Arne, I am a completely different person. And so if you didn't like it, please don't judge me too hard. We are different people and we do things differently. And that's the way it is. Anyway, thank you so much.
I think you did it very good.
Well,
very
thank
nice.
you. Thank you for your compliment. I appreciate it.
And if people don't like it, you shouldn't care.
I don't care.
Because the product is nice.
Yes. So anyway, thank you so much for watching and we will see you again next time.
Bye.
Bye.